who I have with me. What, Whopper? Oh, you're so cute. Who is that? Someone outside? Oh my goodness. Today I have another nail review and I'm excited about this one because it's the first time I'm reviewing a collection from Zoya. So it's their new Luscious Fall collection for 2020. It's really good. There's 6 creams and 6 shimmers. Creams are really pretty and perfect for fall. I think they're not like super original colors. I did find when I did my comparisons that they're not exactly the same as some of the ones I have, but they're jewel toned colors that you find kind of anywhere. But if you haven't tried Zoya, I would totally try them. They sent me this collection, but all the opinions in this video are my own. They also sent along with it a bunch of products for me to try, and I'm going to try to go through those products and talk about them more on Instagram so you guys can see how I felt about each one that they sent me. And they also sent me their wide brushes. You have an option to purchase Z wide brush. I really like the Z wide brush. Their original brush is a little bit thinner, kind of like the old Essie brush. I dealt with it just fine, but I really do love these new wide brushes. The thing I will say about it though, it's really thin, so it doesn't hold a ton of polish, so I had to just really adjust and get used to it, but once I got used to it, it was perfectly fine. I'm just used to Essie, which is quite thick, and then Olive and June, which is like the perfect thickness, and the Essie Gel Couture, which is like the perfect thickness, and then OPI is not curved, but it's a little bit thicker, so it holds a little bit more polish. So that took a little adjusting, but I really love the shape of it. You hardly have to do any cleanup just because it goes on so smooth and nice around your cuticles. One thing I will say about the Z-Wide brush though is that it doesn't screw on all the way down to the bottle. So as you can see in this close-up here, the original lid goes all the way down to the top of the bottle. And for some reason when you put on the Z-Wide brush, it leaves this little gap between the bottle, but it does screw down on tight, but it just doesn't go sit all the way down, and that bothers me slightly. I think I'll get used to it, but at first I was like, man, I wish it would just like seat down into the top of the bottle. Okay, so let's talk about the polishes. Okay, we're gonna start out here with this first one. This is called Patrice. It's a beautiful light lavender polish with this beautiful golden shimmer running through it. I like this one. I like that it's kind of a pink neutral for fall. I think that's kind of fun. It has a fantastic formula. It's gonna be opaque in, I would say, 2 coats. It's a little bit thinner than I thought it would be, but it builds up nicely in 2 coats. I actually don't have any comparisons for this one because I have nothing like it in my collection. It's quite unique. Next we have Wanda, and this is one that isn't your typical fall color, but I think it's fun to pull out Barbie pink. I really like Barbie pinks, and this one has a nice golden shimmer running through it, just like that other polish. I think you can maybe get this opaque in 1 coat depending on your application, but you might need 2. I really love Zoya's glitters. For some reason they're not completely out there. They're just a little bit more subtle, and if I'm going to wear a glitter, that's the type that I like to wear. And so this one I found quite pretty. I don't know how frequently I will pull this out in fall, but I think it's a fun shade. I did not do comparisons for this one either because this one's quite unique as well. This next one is Teresa, and we're getting into the more fall appropriate shades, at least in my opinion, and this is a nice, beautiful, mid-toned lavender purple. Now this totally reminded me of Odette. It's like one of my all-time favorite Zoya polishes. I have about 30 or so polishes from Zoya and I love them. I just haven't pulled them out in a while, and this totally reminded me of that. It's one of my favorite ones, but this one has that really fine kind of purple goldenish shimmer running through it. It's more fine than the other 2 that I just showed you. So this is going to be barely noticeable. It's just going to leave a nice glow on your nail, and I really liked this one quite a bit. I think you're going to get this opaque in 1 to 2 coats, and I did no comparisons for this one either just because with that shimmer it's quite unique. Next up is Tommy, and I love these cornflower blue polishes, especially during fall. And this one's a little bit dusty. I like this color tone better than the other cornflower blues that I have in my collection. This one is a straight up cream. It leans more grayish blue, and some of the other blues that I have that are cornflower have a little bit more yellow in them. You'll be able to see that in the comparisons that I have. I compared it to Truth or Flare. That's one of my favorite to wear in fall. That one definitely has more of a crelly formula. This is more of a cream. The color's quite different too, and I really like the softness and the grayness of this one. It's going to be opaque in 1 to 2 coats depending on your application. Let's get into the comparisons for this one. Then And the next up we have is Mel, and it's this beautiful khaki green. It's more of like your army green color, and I love green during fall. I love green in general, so this one was really great for me. It's pretty close to Heart of the Jungle, which came out in the new Essie Fall collection. I think this one maybe is a touch darker than that one, which I kind of prefer a little bit more. It's going to be opaque in 1 to 2 coats depending on your application, and anytime I can pull a green out during the fall, I will definitely do it. I am kind of feeling the more dark, deep greens this season. I didn't put any shades of green this color in my favorites this year, but I really liked this one quite a bit. And let's get into the comparisons for it. The next one we have is Lou, and it's this beautiful blue. It leans a little teal, so it does have a little bit of green in it. It's so pretty. This is probably my favorite from the collection. It is similar to Drama at La Scala. I can't remember. One of them is darker. It's just a nice shade. I really love these. It's a little bit grayed out. It's going to be opaque in 1 to 2 coats depending on your application and depending on how well you use that brush. I ended up doing a few coats on some of these, but I think it's because I didn't have enough polish loaded up on my brush. So definitely I think could have been user error. I like this one quite a bit, and let's get into the comparisons for it. The next one we have is Sharon, and this is a beautiful, kind of brightish for fall. It's a brighter purple with some pink in it. It totally reminds me of Flowerista. It's looking brighter here just because my light's a little bit bright. It's a little bit darker than Flowerista, but they're pretty much the same color tone. So it's not anything super original, but I love these purple colors so much. I compared it to New Year, New Hue too, and it's kind of in between that one and Flowerista. So if you love these type of colors, which I totally do, I always gravitate towards these type of colors, and you're really gonna like this one. It's gonna be opaque in 1 to 2 coats depending on your application. Let's get into those comparisons. Then we have an even deeper purple. This is Bentely. It's a really nice glossy polish. You're going to be able to get it opaque in 1 to 2 coats, like I said, depending on your application. Oh, it was pretty close to Skating on Thin Iceland, and that's one of my favorite polishes. I believe that one made it into my favorite fall polishes. If it didn't, it should have. It probably got overlooked, but I love that polish so much, and so I loved this one too. And let's get into those comparisons. Next we have is Lisa, and it's this nice red that really leans raspberry. It was hard for me to find a polish that was like exactly the same color tone, but there are a lot of these polishes that are quite similar. I also compared it to Nailed It, and I think that one was pretty close to this one. I think a lot of you are going to ask me how it compares to raspberry. I didn't put that in my comparisons because it was quite a bit lighter and brighter, so it's like the darker sister to that polish, if that's how you want to say it. But it's got a nice formula. It's going to be opaque, like I said, in 1 to 2 coats. It's a really beautiful shade, especially for fall, and let's get into those comparisons. The next one we have is Andrea, and it's this kind of gray silver gunmetal color that's duochrome that flashes from purple to green. We have seen a lot of companies come out with polishes very similar to this one. The new one from the Morgan Taylor collection is almost exact to this one. That one has a touch more glitter, and this one maybe has a touch less, but in the picture you're going to see they're like almost identical. So not super original. I think it's nice that Zoya's adding one of these to their line. It's going to be opaque in 1 nice coat. I would add 2 just to add a little more depth to that glitter. Let's get into those comparisons. Next we have Soliel, and it's this beautiful copper shade. It leans a little bit more red than other coppers that I have. I couldn't find Worth a Pretty Penny. I don't know where that polish of mine is. I haven't worn it in years, but I feel like this one's a little bit more red than that and probably has more shimmer in it, which I really like. So I didn't have anything that was the exact color tone, but I have quite a few Essies that are close to this. So I wouldn't call it original, but this is probably my favorite out of all of them. I think it goes really well with all these polishes here that you see in the collection, and it's definitely fall appropriate. appropriate. It's going to be opaque in one. I would add 2 coats though, but it just builds up so nicely and the glitter is just beautiful. And let's get into the comparisons. This next one is Tasha, and out of all these shimmery colors, this is my favorite, especially for fall. I think it's deep enough that it's not like super pow glitter, that it's a little bit more neutral, which I liked quite a bit. I think I will put this on as an accent nail. I just think it's fun. It might even be fun on the toes for a change, and I really liked it more than I thought. It's going to be opaque in 1 coat. And like I said, I would do 2, but it just builds up so beautifully, and Zoya really does these shimmer colors really well. And I did not do any comparisons for this one because I have nothing like it in my collection. Okay, let's talk about my favorites. I am going to just pick like a few. Okay. So these are my favorites from the collection. This beautiful like cornflower blue, which was called Tommy. This mid-toned blue, which is so beautiful, called Blue. This beautiful shimmery shade called Tasha. So that was really fun to do a review for Zoya. I really do love their polishes, and really it's been years since I pulled them out, and it was fun to pull them out to see if I had comparisons because I remembered some of my favorites that I've had in past years from them, and I even remember the names because they just stuck with me, and so that was really fun. Do you guys wear Zoya? Have you tried it? Let me know in the comments down below. What were your favorites from the collection? Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you next time.